When I walk through the cemetery, I'm not just looking at names. I'm reminded of something we don't talk about enough. I'm reminded that every grave have two stories, the one people tell and the one they never had the courage to speak. I think about the things they never said, the truths they carried, the secrets they kept, and the memories only God knows. Some people leave behind letters, confessions, apologies, and some leave behind nothing but questions. Every one of these stones holds a story, some told, some hidden, some taken to the grave because nobody ever had the courage to say it out loud. It reminds me that people carry pain, secrets, regrets, and sometimes the only place they finally find peace is right here under the grass. There are 8,583 bodies and ashes here at Riverview Cemetery, and they have room for a lot more. There's a train track across the street, but I don't think that the dead would mind hearing a little choo-choo every now and again. The mausoleum is both home to caskets and urine, so if you're looking for a nice home for loved ones and the cremations have been completed, the proper thing to do is to place the urine in an in-ground burial space at Riverview Cemetery, or you can place the urine in a mausoleum, or you can go 3 miles offshore out in the river a few streets over and scatter them out in the ocean so the ashes can fall to the bottom of the ocean and they can rest under the sea. Now, I'm not saying everybody go 3 miles out in the sea, because people have scattered ashes along the edges out there where people be swimming and stuff. So if you're visiting Florida and you're at the beach in Fort Pierce, make sure you blow bubbles out your mouth when you're under the water so none of that will get in your mouth. They even have families that purchase 2 plots for 6 members and purchase the Coliseum for the headstone. This is not a colubrium with ashes. This is a Coliseum with embalmed bodies. They didn't want to go through the fire. Now, Riverview is not a pet cemetery. However, one gentleman is laid to rest with his dog, which was cremated because his wife said that that's what he wanted. So, you can bury the ashes of your pet, but you can't just bury the pet alone. Riverview has only 85 followers on Facebook, so I'ma need Fort Pierce to tighten up and follow. Follow Riverview. Some of you will be there, and you're gonna be there, because as you can see, the place is well kept. They have staff. So if you need somebody to answer questions, feel free to just walk into the office located in the center of the cemetery. The Hazley family, whose names are inscripted on these stones, are part owners of this cemetery. And no, their bodies or ashes aren't buried here by the benches. They're in the Coliseum, somewhere in front of the benches. The most important thing on any headstone is the date. Between the time they were born and the time they died, there's a dash in the middle of that. That dash is their life. So we're about to get into these people's business and see just how we can relate. Just keep in mind, we all go through the same things. We just handle them differently. And contestant number 1, Mr. Lonnie Stubbs Jr., known as the Doom, and by others, Jr. He's the son of Lonnie Stubbs Sr. and Daisy Chrome Stubbs. He was a giver, and that's probably why he was loved by so many. He was known to kick the Willy Bobo, as he called it. If he wasn't hanging out with friends, he wasn't living. He was a heroic man. A car flipped over in the canal full of alligators and snakes, not far from this cemetery. And Lonnie Jr. jumped in the canal and saved the person that was trapped in the car under the water. Now, if it was me, that person probably would have drowned, but it wasn't me. It was Lonnie Jr. And he did that. He visited the projects one day, and the kids were screaming and yelling because of a huge python snake that was terrifying them. One of the little boys ran and got the Doom. And the Doom ran over and grabbed the snake and broke the snake in half in front of the kids. The kids looked up to the Doom because he made them feel safe. The man was a loyal man. As a young man, he worked for one company, Sandpiper Bay, which later became Club Med, all the way up until he retired. He loved this one particular woman. He loved this woman so much that he took care of her kids and paid child support for all of them until they were 18 years old, even though they didn't come up out of his nuts. All because he gave that woman his word, saying that he would. Now, I don't know many men that'll do that, but he did that for 25 years. He respected that woman like he respected his mama. We're talking about a man who I was told had straight A's all throughout school, except one time he got a B. And he cried like a baby because he got that B. And I'm quite certain that he cried a many of days because, as you can see, his mother, Miss Daisy, passed away in 1999. That was the year that they told us that the world was going to end in the year 2000. She was a native from Georgia and known for doing hair and for her good old cooking. She can cook like a chef. His father passed away in 2007 from Alzheimer's at the very house where Lonnie Jr. and his mother passed away. Now, before the Doom passed away, he had to experience burying two of his younger brothers, and being the third from the oldest out of 8 boys, it had to be devastating for the man. Now imagine, and some of you can relate, both parents and 2 younger siblings passing away before you do. He did that. His favorite song was I'll Be There by the iconic Michael Jackson. He'll sit and listen to that song over and over and over again. You can find his obituary on sarahsmemorial.com. Feel free to leave a gift, buy a plant, or light a candle. Let the people know that the man mattered. He wasn't here just taking up space. Our next contestant is his mother, Miss Daisy Crone Stubbs, a natural comedian who gave birth to 6 boys, all by the same man. She cooked from scratch, and all her cakes had to be rich. But it wasn't the diabetes that took her out. It was a heart attack. Mixed hyperlipidemia, which is a high level of cholesterol, ran in a family. Miss Daisy was an Indian woman. Oh, Miss Daisy used to throw those pool parties at her house, and she had those hot dogs and those hamburgers and those tater chips just waiting on the kids in the summer for the pool party. They loved going to Miss Daisy's house. She grew up to be successful and died a millionaire thanks to her husband, who's right beside her, Mr. Lonnie Stubbs Sr., a native of Cat Island, Bahamas. He was the son of Thomas Stubbs, Emily Hepburn Stubbs. He was a man who worked himself from rags to riches. He worked for Sandpiper Bay, which is now Club Med, for most of his adult life. He also was into real estate, which he had houses all the way from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way to the coast of Bahamas. He lived a pretty good life for the most part. A few years before he passed away, he had Alzheimer's. He was a man who loved himself some steamed fish. He can eat steamed fish every single day except Sunday. And he played golf so good, I think he might have made the television. He didn't like confrontation and he didn't like to fight. He was about his money. He owned a bank over in Bahamas. He had his own airplane, and he helped buy the church that he attended here in Fort Pierce. Every seat at Lonnie's funeral was full of white, black, and other. Everybody showed up for the man. That just come to show you, he wasn't just no anybody. He was a pillar of the community. Contestant number 4, Elise Williams Marshall, born in 1941 and still on top of the ground. She's a great-grandmother, a 5-generation grandmother with knowledge that you can't get from a book. She grew up back in the times when they had meat houses in the backyard and the boss would come around and get his cut and they kept the rest. She traveled from state to state picking fruits and vegetables in the groves alongside her husband. During their travel, they started a family, and years after picking fruits and vegetables, Elise decided to change her occupation, and her husband and their 9 kids settled right here in Fort Pierce, Florida. She herself comes from a big family. She has 22 sisters and brothers, so she's some kin to everybody. After years of marriage, her and her husband got a divorce, and she found love under the new management of Fred Gibson. She was a hard-working woman. She would work 3 jobs at a time to provide for her family. She had to make enough money for all those holidays and birthday parties. She retired from all that hard work in her 60s, and now she enjoys going to those family reunions and those family get-togethers. She has all the time now to color in her coloring book while she watched Days of Our Lives. Next contestant, Fred Gibson. Fred joined the military at an early age, and they had him fighting in the Vietnam War, which left him with PTSD. And this is probably why Fred didn't like it to attend funerals. Just the thought of looking at someone dead and you have PTSD got me a little shell-shocked. No one would ever have guessed that Fred suffered from PTSD because he didn't let that deter him. All the kids loved him. He would gather up the kids and put them on the back of that little red pickup truck and take them to the beach. He would take them for rides, crack jokes, making them laugh constantly. He helped at least raise all 9 of her kids and half of her grandkids. You know she had over 20 grandkids. Fred was cool, calm, and collective. He was like a smooth operator. He didn't just let things get to him. It wasn't easy trying to take his joy. He was a strong-minded man who loved Elise with all his heart. And as a matter of fact, he stayed with her until the day he died. To this day, Elise's children and grandchildren still call him Pop. Rest in peace. Here at Riverview Cemetery, where a full body burial space fits only 1 body and 2 cremation, you can buy a plot for $1,295. Get it while it's on sale. If you want to get buried Monday through Friday, the opening and closing of the hole, the digging and covering costs $1,100. On Saturday, $1,300, and on Sunday, $1,400. The cost of the vault is $925. So it'll cost you somewhere from $3,320. Now they have cremation lots for $500 that fit 3 cremations, and they do 3 because they want to make sure that they have enough room for the small headstones. However, if you're going to use the same headstone for multiple people, then they probably can fit 1 or 2 more. They even have a family that purchased 2 plots for 6 family members that also purchased a coliseum for the headstone. This is not a colubrium with ashes. This is a coliseum with embalmed bodies. They didn't want to go through the fire. Now the family paid $185,000 for all of this that they got going on. They paid for a custom-based foundation which the mausoleum sits on. They paid contract fees and some other fees like for the sandboxes and stuff. I truly can't thank you enough for taking time out of your lives to watch what I created. Whether you came here for grieving, searching for a smile, loving history, or just curious, I hope this brought you something real, a laugh, a memory, a moment of peace. These stories matter, and so do you. So from me and from those whose names we spoke today, thank you for being part of this. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep remembering.